of making sure that we are looking out for each other and looking out for our alums and making sure that you guys have viable career paths. So a little bit about what we're going to look at tonight. Do some quick introductions for who has joined us. And then let the panelists, we have 3 of them here tonight, including one CJA alum who gets to be a panelist, which I think is kind of cool. And then those 3 panelists will give us a quick overview of kind of what their slice of the real estate industry looks like and how you could get started there. And then we'll do some breakout rooms so that you guys can ask kind of more direct questions of maybe, I want to do this, what do you think? Those sorts of questions. And then at the end, we'll just kind of talk about what we think might come next for this type of stuff. So why don't we do this and kind of go around. I know that most of you probably know each other, but there's also a little bit of an age difference. So if we can kind of go around and have some of you alums introduce each other, introduce yourselves, and kind of just give a quick rundown of when you graduated CJA and kind of what you're up to now. And then if you have any experience in real estate, you can talk about that, or if you're just hoping to learn something new. So I think we'll just kind of hang around because we only have about 15 people. So I feel like 12 people. So we feel like we can kind of just hang around. Who wants to start?
Keyshawn, you look like you want to start.
Keyshawn wants to start so badly. Man.
You're on mute.
My name is Keyshawn Williams. I graduated CJA in, I think, 2013, which was like a kind of long time ago. But I graduated in 2013. I'm currently in my 4th year in college, studying business management, entrepreneurship at Illinois State University. And what brought me here today is just to learn more about real estate because I don't really know that much about it. And I think, is that all the questions?
Yeah, nailed it. You want to call out one of your fellow alums?
Well, I'm Ken. I go to Illinois State as well. I'm a double major there. I graduated CJA in 2014.
What are you majoring in?
I'm a double major in political science and legal studies.
And what brought you? What are you trying to learn tonight, or what made you come to this Zoom?
One thing that me and my uncle is passionate about is buying buildings and selling them, and so that's one thing that I want to do is buy and rehab buildings in my community, and so.
Awesome.
I can pass it on to Andrew.
Cool.
Was it on me?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a different Andrew there. But yeah, I'm Andrew. I'm the first alumni of CJA. I would say, 2009, I believe?
2009.
2009, right? But yeah, I'm a real estate agent. I've been doing it for 5 years now. I'm 25. I started at 20. Yeah, I would be one of the ones to speak with you guys about, how to get into real estate and how to grow your business in real estate as well. I guess I'll pass it to DeMarcus Lacey.
I know it's coming to me.
You just muted yourself, sorry.
My fault. What's up, everybody? My name is DeMarcus Lacey. I also graduated in 2009. I went to Knox College. I majored in economics. Graduated in 2017, and I currently work at Wintrust Bank as a portfolio manager. And I guess what brought me here today is, me and Drew, we kind of like best friends. So we talk about real estate a lot. And I want to see if he's holds some sauce from me with this call. So I want to learn more about the market and see, if he's not hiding anything from me. So looking forward to it. I'll pass it to Gerard Castleberry.
Hey, so I'm Gerard. I'm with I graduated in '09. I went to Denison University. It's like a small liberal arts school in Ohio. I majored in math. Now currently, I also work. I'm a analyst, CJA rotation program, which I'm getting ready to finish up in February.
Gerard, we're having a tough time hearing you, I think.
Oh man, what about now?
Sounds like you're trying to talk underwater.
Yeah. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna like try to reconnect.
No, that's way better. Just talk like you're talking right now.
Okay, do you want me to start over?
Yeah.
No, just pick up from where you went to school.
Okay, cool. So I went to school at Denison University, which is like a small liberal arts school in Ohio, where I majored in math. Currently I also work at Wintrust Bank, like the Marcus, but I'm a credit analyst. I'm in a 2-year rotational analyst program, which I'm getting ready to finish up in February. What brought me here today is I'm like kind of just interested in real estate. So like I'm currently like renting while I'm at right now, my first apartment, but that lease is up. Like I ultimately like kind of want to look into financing something, but I also want to look into being able to, I guess, like make money off of real estate too, whether it be, like maybe getting like a more.
All right, cool. And I think the last alum we've got is Casimir.
Hello, I'm Casimir Charleston. I graduated CJA, I think 2015. I'm currently trying to find a job, but the last job I was at had to lay a bunch of people off due to the COVID-19. So I'm just trying to bounce some ideas off and figure out what I should be doing.
Yep. Good stuff. Well, you're in the right spot. Okay, I think that's all of the alums. Now let's allow. Well, Andrew kind of already introduced himself, but we'll let Ray and Brian introduce themselves and kind of what they do in real estate. So I'll go ahead and let them speak. I'll pass it to Ray first.
Thanks, Kevin. My name is Ray Tiernan. I'm from north side of Chicago. I've been working in real estate for about 7 years now. I started out on the brokerage side doing investment sales. So selling apartment buildings here in Chicago, kind of like the 2 and 6 and 8 unit buildings that you see throughout most of the neighborhoods here in Chicago, the older stuff. And then for a couple years, I did valuations. So appraisals really, which was a lot of finance and research, market research, and writing appraisal reports and underwriting real estate properties of all types, pretty much across the country, which is pretty cool. Got exposure to a bunch of different cities and kind of understanding what makes those cities tick from a real estate perspective. And then I've been at my current job for 3 years. I currently work at Stockbridge Capital Group. We're a investment management of real estate assets across the country. We invest mostly in industrial apartments, retail, and office buildings. And I'm an asset manager for them, so I manage the investments once we do end up buying them for our clients.
And I think we're gonna have Brian introduce himself next.
You're on mute, Brian.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good. All right. Yeah. So Brian Colors, I am the current regional manager for Chicago market for Pangea Real Estate. I've been with Pangea for about 7 years now. Started out there as a property manager in 2013, the summer of 2013. I've managed portfolios in most of the neighborhoods in Chicago that we own assets: Austin, South Shore, Chatham, Auburn, Gresham, Chicago Lawn. Some pretty challenged, underserved areas. I was trained, was lucky enough to be onboarded by Pangea. So, kind of got my start in the business there, was brought on there and was trained in-house. And I've worked as a zone leader, equivalent to what you would call maybe a district manager, overseeing a portfolio of about 1,600 units. The current portfolio I oversee now is over 9,000, spread out over 475 or so scattered site properties. And but basically what that entails is, of course, overseeing market performance, rent collection, leasing out the properties, maintenance, making sure the properties stay in good working order, and meeting all the needs of our tenant base. So that's pretty much been my career there for the last 7 years.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray and Brian, and Andrew a little earlier. So for those of you guys who are here that are here to learn and kind of network, I've included everybody's contact information in the Google Slides that I sent out with the invite. We were going to have another panelist, Keith. He had a last minute conflict, so he could not make it, but he still was willing to help out anybody that had questions in his area of expertise. I think Ray will be able to speak in a little bit about the kind of things that Keith is into. If you have any follow-up questions for him, he would still be willing to check in with you guys. So now, like, the kind of the meat of this is that we wanted to kind of have our expert panelists kind of speak for a couple of minutes about they just told you a little bit about their current role, but we wanted to have them speak a little bit about that part of the real estate industry in general a little bit, kind of, and especially with a focus on, like, how do I get a start in that if I want to do this for a career? So I think we're going to start off with Brian talking about kind of what does property management entail? What does it look like kind of at an entry-level job perspective, and how do you move up and grow in that space?
Yeah. So property management is a core function when talking about the various real estate assets. Owning a building and managing a building are two very different things. I see Ray nodding. Yeah, owning and managing are two very different things. Obviously, these assets can yield very good return on investment, but they have to be properly maintained and properly conducted in order for that to happen. And so on the property management side of the business, we are the people that basically take care of your asset for you. Everything from the upkeep to making sure that your boiler, your heating system, your R&D system, all of that goes into, the role of a property manager and or a maintenance supervisor and technician. We make sure that if you have an apartment building with 12 units, I'm the guy, along with maybe a leasing agent or someone in that capacity, a broker, who's going to make sure that your units get leased out for you so that you get good tenants in your property who'll go ahead and pay you rent. Likewise, we all know things happen. Obviously, here in the middle of the pandemic, we're all getting an education on, unfortunately, some of the situations when people are, fall behind on their rents. And again, that's where the property manager comes in and administers debt collection practices, negotiates with tenants, makes stopgap agreements, however and wherever possible, in order to make sure that people are able to meet those obligations. Because again, even if you have a building full of people, if they're not paying their rent, you're going to find yourself in a pretty bad situation there. So that's kind of the brass tacks of it. That's kind of the long and the short of what we do as far as managing these assets on the ground, and making sure that again, the buildings are well maintained, well taken care of. Everything from landscaping If your building has a parking lot, obviously you want to be able to charge for your residents to use that parking lot. But of course, that has to be managed as well. You have to have an agreement with a towing vendor for people who don't abide by those rules and so forth. So there's a lot I could kind of go into, and I'm pretty sure I'm leaving out a few things, but those are just some what I've just kind of outlined for you guys are some kind of basic examples of what your daily duties are as a property manager. And of course, in an organization such as ours, where there's such an enormous portfolio, it takes a lot of different moving parts. But the hub of our operations are our property managers, who oversee various portfolios of buildings, and they're kind of the point people for everything that goes on at that property.
Brian, can you talk a little bit about how you got into property management and how some of your peers have as well?
Absolutely. I think I was speaking with someone on another conference call earlier this morning where it was said that, a lot of professions, some professions you kind of stumble into. And that's not to mean that you can't set out to be a property manager. Obviously, I didn't. I actually started out trying to be a history secondary ed teacher back during the Great Recession, 09, 10, 11. I was coming out of college after having gotten my BA in history, and was not a great time to be a teacher. And I ended up working at a community center briefly, trying to work with kids. And I met a guy who happened to work at Pangea just off sheer happenstance. I got an interview, was lucky enough to get onboarded and get trained up. My story is a little bit unique because Pangea, as a company, we do a lot on the referral side. So basically, as a referral, it's like, hey, I'm Brian. I break in. I do pretty well as a property manager, get trained. I'm very, making good money for the company as far as managing these assets. Hey, well, you know what? I know another guy who's a friend of mine from my community. Let me onboard him. So that's been kind of like one of our lifelines for talent over the course of the last 7 or so years that I've worked there. But that's not always the case. But it does, again, it does from a networking standpoint. It does help to know people. I think for those of you guys who are looking to kind of get your foot in the door, taking advantage of a platform like the one that's being provided tonight is an excellent opportunity to meet people, because it really is a referral based business. It's a lot about who you know, if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to learn, and kind of keep your nose to the ground a little bit, you'll be able to kind of find a way for yourself. So that's certainly how I broke into the business, and that's a good deal of people who I've worked with over the course of the last 7 years. That's how they broke in as well.
Cool. Thank you, Brian. Does anybody have any questions, like right now off the bat, about kind of property management and that side of real estate?
Brian, just a quick question. I mean, I'm kind of studying this stuff right now on the side. For the guys that might be curious about that, do you need any type of specific certification, licenses, or anything like that to be a property manager?
Yes, you do. There is the CAM, the community manager license. I am lucky to work at a company where we fall under the umbrella of a managing broker, who that's the one person who has the license, and we work as a subsidiary of that person. So there's a couple different ways that happens in the business, but by and large, it's encouraged that, obviously not just for certification standpoint, but also just for bettering your knowledge of the business, that you go ahead and get that license. Illinois leasing license is another one. That one doesn't take too long. That's one that takes, I think, a little under a month or a couple months there to be able to lock that one down. And then obviously having a broker license as well, would qualify you. So there's a couple different avenues of kind of, I guess, what you would say being certified. But it is possible to work for a company that has a license and that they assume your actions as their agent.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, Andrew, if you're settled.
Can you guys hear me? Actually?
Yeah, we can hear
Sorry,
you.
I had lost connection there. Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, didn't get my notes here.
This man's prepared.
All right, so where do we leave off at here?
So Brian just finished up talking about property management and kind of what the starting point is, and kind of what the day-to-day work looks like.
Okay.
So we were hoping that you could speak a little bit about that with kind of the path through early leasing and brokerage.
Okay. So yeah, so pretty much the way I started was so a little bit of information on how I got into real estate. So I was looking at a guy named Jay Morrison. When I was in high school, he was just preaching on how to, get your license, or not how to get your license, but how to start your license. Sorry, 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Andrew, you're talking about the Jay Morrison that's heavy on Instagram.
Correct. Yeah.
I think he's out of Atlanta, right?
Yeah. So I was pretty much looking at a lot of his videos, when I was in high school. I was just trying to figure out a way to get into real estate. So when I look into the laws, the Illinois laws, the only real estate or the only license that I knew of was the broker's license. And I knew that you had to be 21. So at the time I was 16. So based on like college, I was trying to pick, a college that I knew that I can do real estate at the age of 18. And so I know that in New York, you can be 18 to do real estate. And so I went to school out there, and then tuition was just too expensive. So I had to figure out a plan when I came back home. And so I went to Loyola University. My first semester, I met a guy that was in real estate. And what I wanted to do was just be, underneath him, just, either, interning for him, or, just looking at his day-to-day life. And he told me that to be a leasing agent, you have to be 18 years old. And I didn't know that at first. And so what I did was I got my leasing license. I was 19 when I got my leasing license. And then what I did was just, browse around in terms of different brokerages and try to figure out which one would, one, give me good training, and two, help me out a lot. And so I came across this first company called Home Scout Realty. I worked with them for 2 years. And then I got my broker's license at 21, and I went over to Coldwell Banker. And now I'm at Fulton Grace. But the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because, one, you can start real estate at the age of 18. You'll just be doing leasing. I learned a lot in terms of, just the day-to-day life, how to, follow up with clients, how to grow your business, just the proper procedure is still the same. It's just with the real estate broker's license, you're allowed to do sales. And so sales is just it's a more bigger transaction, but it's still the same in terms of, growing your business, and also, just day-to-day life in real estate. And so my suggestion too, like for people who don't want to do real estate and just want to invest, I always say, if you have the time, still get your real estate license. And the reason why is because you can earn a commission on your own properties. So basically you buy this building that's 200,000 and you'll get a 10 to 12K, 10 to 12K, commission check. And what you can do with that check is you can use that check to either invest into another property, or you can put it in reserve for that property. So just in case anything goes wrong in terms of just maintenance and, things like that, you can have that money in reserve as an emergency fund for that property. And so, that's ways of, that's one of the reasons why I always suggest people to still get their real estate license, even if they're going to invest. You don't have to, actually do it every day. You can just park your license at a brokerage company. So you can find a company to park your license. And each year, the real estate fees is around $1,100 or $1,200. So if you're going to invest, get 10 to 12K commission check, which what you earn from that, that property, it offsets that 1,100 a year real estate fees. So that's for, people that just want to invest. I always say, just still get your real estate license so that you can earn a commission off that property. And then for the people that actually want to get into the career part of it, I think when you one of the books, actually I want to show you guys one of the books that kind of helped me when I first started. I don't know if you guys can see it, like I'm in my room here, but it's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. And basically it just teaches you how to grow your business from scratch. And I think it's one of the best books out there for someone new to just read and learn a lot from it. It teaches you how to, 33 touches. So, reaching out to people 33 times. Why it's important to, stay face to face with your clients, and, because everyone knows a real estate agent, everyone has a realtor in their family. But if you can always stay in front of them, if you can always, stay on top of their mind, then you're going to always, keep that client. And so it's always important to, keep marketing and keep, staying in touch with clients and, just, basic things. And you can also use that in your everyday life, whether it's just, staying in contact with your family members or, just networking with different people. It's always important to just stay in touch with people. But yeah.
What do you think for someone who's trying to get into leasing or brokerage, what are like the top like skills or like things that they would want to prioritize if that's something they want to get into? Is it like email organization? Is it?
Yeah. So for me, when I started, I wasn't the most polished. So in terms of just, email organizations, just staying organized, it's very important because people actually look at that, for me, especially, a Black young male, coming from the west side of Chicago, I was kind of intimidated. I'm showing these luxury high-rise buildings downtown, but I'm also like, scared to speak or, my emails were, not organized and things like that. So I knew that I have to work hard on that in order to, succeed. And so, staying organized is very important. Not being intimidated. Another skill that I would say is I wouldn't consider like a skill, but just actually, studying the art of sales, and also reading a lot of books. Reading a lot of books will actually help you with your grammar, with, so you stand on top of things and you being organized. And yeah, I would say those two main things there.
Great.
I heard someone said that, leasing license take a month. Actually, it takes 2 days. So, depending on the way you want to spread it out. What I did when I took my leasing license, I did it on a Saturday and a Sunday. And those classes end at 3 p.m. And so so Saturday and Sunday, I took the class. That Sunday, we took the state exam. And then next week, I scheduled appointments to take my national exam. And yeah, within a week and a half, I was, working. So it's actually pretty quick.
Yeah, we had to do it. Andrew, that was me. I just want to chime in. We were doing that in addition to our guys working, their 9 to 5, and they were doing a prep before they actually did the process. So but you are, let me take that back. You are correct. It can be done. It's done normally 2 days.
Got you. But yeah, my 5 years of the business, it's not going to be easy. A lot of people think, just get into the business, you're going to be making money. It took me 2 years to make money. Actually, I was working part-time my first year. I was valet parking cars. And so it just takes it takes a while to grow your business. I don't have any family or friends that, that were looking to buy at the time. Just because my family, is, it's just different. And so, my sphere of networking was, wasn't as big. And so I had to just start off from scratch. And actually starting off with your leasing license helps because eventually those clients will end up buying. And so, for instance, like I had a client, that I helped found the apartment 2 years ago. Today he actually reached out and said that he's looking to buy, come January and February. So again, that's important to stay stay in contact with your clients, because those leasing or those clients that's renting right now will eventually end up buying, or they know someone that's buying or that's looking to buy or rent. So, just some advice there.
Hey, Andrew, thank you for the information. My question to you is that as a real estate broker, right, residential, as you're with these companies that are holding your license, right, are
Correct.
they considered now an employee of this company and they're finding places or folks for you or clients, or they're just literally holding your license for you and you're doing the legwork to bring in those sales or buys for these people? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so each company works differently. That's why it's important to figure out a company that will benefit you and that will work good with you. Some companies, they like more experienced agents because they don't have to do that work in terms of training agents or, giving them leads, which is clients, or, things like that. But you do have other companies that are into training their agents and, helping them grow their business by giving them leads or clients. So it's always different from each brokerage. And that's why it's important to figure out a brokerage for you. I knew for me, what I wanted to do was start off with a boutique brokerage because I knew that they would give me the attention that I need. Whereas a lot of like corporate, like big brokerage, like, co-ed banker, they are good, but they have, who are you compared to someone that's bringing in $10 million in sales, and so they more important than, and they have those older agents there too. So it's always important to figure out a company that, one, would train you well, and then two, would actually help you grow your business, whereas, giving you clients or teaching you how to fish for clients.
And my last question, is something I checked out. What are your thoughts? And maybe Brian and Ray, you can jump in on this. What's your thoughts about an actual holding company for your license as opposed to going straight to a brokerage?
You can, I mean, there's no thing. So a brokerage, that's where you're going to hold your license at. And so it doesn't matter which brokerage it is. Pretty much, they're going to hold your license there. And I would say that if you're going to invest, then find a brokerage that doesn't charge you any fees either. Because if you're just going to invest and hold your license there, then, you don't want to get charged with any fees, like a desk fee or things like that. So, and that's just for people that just want to invest. But like for career wise, yeah, you can hold your license anywhere,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Just to jump in, I think it depends on why you have the real estate license. Like Andrew said, if you're a residential broker and you're trying to make that your career, selling homes or leasing, you should have your license at a brokerage shop where they can, you pay them part of your commission, right?
Mhm.
But through that payment, they give you support. So they have an office and a place where you can hold meetings, and they can help you print materials for open houses and things like that. Whether if you're just getting your broker's license as an investment, you can have a separate arrangement with maybe a different
Yeah.
brokerage house and set up your structure with that company in a different way. So it's almost two different reasons why you might hold that license.
Yeah.
Right, Andrew?
Right, correct. And then there's a company called Espo Realty. It's like a technology company. They doing 80-20% on their commission splits, and they don't have any offices, so you can hold your license there, and it's a technology company, so everything is just so there's no real big fees there as well. So you can find companies like that where it's just like everything is done technology, and you don't have to be there at the office, that you're not getting charged any office fees or things like that. And you can find those type of companies to hold your license at if you're going to be just investor.
That's
Right.
great. I think that's important for some of these guys on here that, just to get the difference in, because I think some people think real estate is all about you being in the buying and selling
Oh
component.
no.
There's the
Yeah.
investment side of it too. So thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
I guess
that's
like that's a good segue. I can jump into that if Andrew, if you want to finish up. Sorry.
oh no, go ahead. Yeah. I was just going to piggyback on what he said.
Yeah, so I guess I'll touch on commercial investment. I'll try to talk a little bit about Keith was going to talk about too. So I guess from a high level perspective, commercial real estate investment is an investment in the potential rent, cash flow, and appreciation of a real estate property. So you're buying the land, you're buying the building, and you're buying the rent and cash that you'll be getting from your tenants. So for example, like the picture that Kevin has on the slide that's going to be the new Salesforce Tower building. So you'd be buying that building completely built for the rent from the tenants. Mostly would be Salesforce, but it's a long-term cash flow stream. So you're not just buying you're buying the property because you're going to get rents not just for 1 year, but for 10 or 15 years, depending on how the property is being operated. To different ways that you can get into the commercial real estate investment space is kind of on your own, which we've touched on a little bit, which can be buying a building yourself, or buying a building with a friend, or buying like a 2-flat and investing in that so you can get the rental income stream from that. That's pretty difficult for most young people to do, is to put a significant cash payment up and make an investment and put a lot of construction dollars in, say, a flip or so. But I started out as more of a support role. So I can talk a little bit about how Keith started. So Keith started as a research analyst for a company called Heitman. A lot of the big companies that you will see, real estate companies like CBRE or Jones Lang LaSalle, or Heitman is one of them too, is they have these big research groups. These research groups aggregate data, a lot of transaction data, a lot of demographic data on cities and trends, and they look at all of the different data points within real estate. So how many leases were done in this specific area of the city, or how many sales were done for how much money, and for what price per square foot, and really investment metrics that they're looking at to try to educate investors on how to make thoughtful decisions on real estate investments. So that's a critical part to any commercial real estate investment role, is understanding what goes behind the research, and what is really getting into that data and using that data to make an educated decision. There's a lot of really good research jobs that are very entry level. If you're good with computer programming, if you're good with pretty much all of the Microsoft Office, so if you're good in Excel and you're good in PowerPoint, and you're able to do research skills well that you have learned through either high school or junior college or university, that you can apply those research skills just to the real estate sector. So you can follow data, follow trends, read the news, and try to aggregate that data into something that's viable that people can use to make an investment decision. That's kind of the research and data analysis part. Moving a little bit over to the finance, jumping around a little bit to the finance and lending. Wait, I'll stop. Does anyone have any questions on that part so far? All right. So for the finance and lending piece, these will be pretty heavy financial analysis roles. So your background could be math, your background could be a business background or economics. It's really understanding what goes behind and why people do investments, because in a sense, like Brian touched on, you're getting a return on your investment, right? You're buying the property for a specific reason, and there's a lot of different metrics that people use to quantify and make those investments. And it's really understanding the math that goes behind those, and then also understanding the underlying real estate, right? So is the location good? Are the tenants good? For example, like in an office building, like if you have a really big name credit or like an industrial building that you might see on the highway, like Amazon's a really good tenant, right? But if you have a tenant that, you know, I heard some of the guys work at Wintrust, and you're doing credit analysis, which is a great start too. You can underwrite the credit of those tenants, and then the investment will be either a higher risk or lower risk investment. So finance background, or sorry, understanding finance has a business background or math background or economics, and really kind of understanding how supply and demand shifts within the different types of real estate. I think one thing that's easy that I like to say about real estate is that it's not rocket science. It's easy for people to understand and learn relatively quickly. Like, you're not trying to build a rocket ship, or, you know, you're not trying to do some crazy math equation. Most of the equations are pretty simple and easy for people to understand and really grasp pretty quickly. So, and then you can learn the real estate physical part of it later. Like, you can understand like what makes an office building appealing and what makes an industrial building appealing, or retail and or an apartment building and things like that. But that kind of comes with the business, and you learn that through experience. Lending is also a big piece of real estate. Investors typically need some sort of real estate debt, which they're qualified for through with banks. So the underlying real estate and the potential cash flow of those investments is what the bank is lending on. That part of real estate is a critical component to the real estate investment itself, because it can either hurt or help you your investment. And ultimately, a big piece of the real estate is having to pay those debts. So making sure that the investment is viable enough for you to be able to pay that. So, and that to get into the debt part of real estate too, is just kind of the same background, economics, business, math. But I mean, I started in sales. I started in investment sales, selling apartment buildings. My background is, my undergrad was for communication and political science. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you start out in, as long as you have a drive and really wanted to get it into the sector. And I think one way to really do that is by networking and using opportunities like tonight to really just talk to people and try to understand like what they're doing and how they got there. And then I will say that real estate's a grind. I mean, it's not easy, but once you kind of understand it and get in the flow of it, it becomes easier and easier every day. And you learn a lot. It's interesting, right? You get to walk around either downtown or in your neighborhoods and really get to understand like why these buildings are there and why your neighborhood is maybe building new buildings, or why there's new office, or why there's a new grocery store and things like that. So that's really what got me into real estate. And there's a lot of different avenues, but I think Brian and Andrew touched on this a little bit. It's huge to be relationship driven. It's a relationship driven business. So being respectful to your clients, to your colleagues, networking, talking to people, I think is a critical piece to being successful in the real estate business.
Hey, Ray, is there a way, or Brian and Andrew too, are there like real estate events where where you guys have like powwows? Like, I'm a musician and we have music conventions and things like that.
Mhm.
Are there?
I can't tell you how much real estate events there are.
Yeah,
Real
right.
estate, people in real estate love real estate events, and they love being social and love that stuff. So I can probably go to one every single day of the week. I mean, obviously before the pandemic hit, I could do that. I wasn't, because I had to focus on my work, you know.
Yeah.
But, it is a critical piece of real estate. And there's morning events, there's events after work, usually at least once a week. And there's also great things like webcasts and networking. Now it's been a little bit more virtual events, but there's webcasts every week by big companies that you can listen to, and they talk about different sectors and why things are shifting one way or another. And you can meet people through those as well. So there's no shortage of real estate events, I would say.
I will also to give you advice to, be careful, because you want to go to these real estate events to learn, But if you're talking about like, also networking, you want to try other events too. So like, musician events, when you get network with different people there. You're not just networking with people who are in the real estate industry. So maybe a church event or something like that, So also be careful with, just real estate events, because you can waste time. Some people there's just there to, just have drinks. And so
Yeah, that's to my point. You have to be selective and
Yeah.
really
Be
go there
disciplined.
with an agenda, but also part
Mhm.
of it's having fun too.
Yeah, and part of it is having fun. And it's also good to, for me too, I had a guy, he was a top producing agent. And so I met him at a real estate event, and so he gets a lot of clients, and some of the clients that, he wasn't able to service, he was passing them down to me. And so that's another way to get clients too, is like, reaching out to these agents that have so much business that they can't, get to everyone. And if you can come up with like a structure where they can, pass you the client and you can take that business, that's another way, to get business from, for your business.
Yeah. One thing I just kind of do want to touch on, I know we're supposed to break out in groups. It looks like we're hitting time a little bit here, but there's some other segments and subsets of real estate that I'm not an expert on, but hopefully in the future we can have additional panelists speak to this. But there's real estate law, so real estate contracts and leases and sale contracts, and there's a lot that you need licensed attorneys to do those transactions, and that's a career path as well. Typically, you have to go to law school, or unless you want to be a support role for a real estate attorney, you can do that as well. Construction and contracting, so being on the construction management side, or maybe potentially owning your own contracting business and doing projects in homes or commercial buildings. And then one that's pretty cool too is architecture and design. So coming up with the drawings and the designs that go into all of the buildings and making sure they look cool and they're appealing and they're aesthetically pleasing, but also that they're functional. They have to work the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, Ray, I think we've got a small enough group that I'm not sure that the breakout rooms and the small enough group combined with the limited amount of time we have, because I want to respect the fact that we're trying to get off here in the next 10 minutes or so. Does anyone have any like follow-up questions? I know Mr. Carroll has asked almost all of the questions so far. So if we can get some of these guys who are here to learn a little bit, to follow up with like a question that you have or a thought that you had.
Just as curious as them, Kevin, but I know sometimes our guys might have a question and not, comfortable asking. So.
Yeah. So I had something I want to ask you.
Go for it, Gerard.
So, let's just say that like long term, I'm just like looking to is this better? A few properties under my belt to where I can just like rent them out. So
You're like going in and out, Gerard. So
okay, my bad.
I don't understand the question.
So okay, so if my like ideal plan is like, okay, I want to get a couple just rental properties. So I should go about, I guess, getting a real estate license to do that, and then go about belonging to a broker. Like I was, I guess, looking for just a little bit more clarity about how would I go about that. So like, just in order for I need to be like a real estate broker.
You don't. So yeah, if you're just trying to invest, you don't necessarily need to have where you don't need your real estate license. My advice was to get it if you have the time to get it, because you can earn a commission, you can earn a paycheck from your own investments. And so why not, get a paycheck from something that you're, investing in. And so if you were to just get your real estate license and just invest, then like I said, you can just, park your license at a company and it's just what's like 1,100 to 1,200 a year for just your overall real estate license fees. And so, that way, if you want to earn a commission, which is a paycheck from your investments, you can do it. If that answers your question. Gerard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That
makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. But
so
yeah, like I said, you don't have to necessarily have your license. But if you're going to be, if you're going to do this investment stuff, for a while, why not just get a paycheck off of it and use that money to either, use it for another down payment on another investment property, or like I said, use it for emergency funds for that specific investment. So just in case like any maintenance and things like that goes wrong, or anything that goes wrong with your tenants, you have that money to the side from that paycheck that you can use.
Okay. And then just another follow-up question real quick. So you essentially like you, Andrew, do you essentially making money just off like selling houses? So like you don't actually, like, you're not essentially just trying to build up a portfolio of just like properties.
So next year I'm going to start. I'm going to actually purchase my first investment property. What I want to do, since I chose this as a career, I just wanted to focus on building my career first and actually making money. Now that I'm making money, I can start investing. And so for me next year, yes, I'm going to do the investment side of things, which is build my portfolio in terms of just properties, and still do my day-to-day real estate career life.
Okay, word. Okay, you can do both. Okay.
Yeah, you could do both. Yeah, it doesn't matter, as long as you got a license, you can do both. If you don't have a license, you can still invest, but as long as you have a license, you can do whatever you want to do in real estate.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention, it's I know it's pretty easy to see some of the advertisements, maybe through Instagram and stuff like that, that it's a get rich quick scheme, buy and flip houses and stuff like that. But I think everyone's got to be pretty careful on making those big investment decisions. Be diligent in what your guys are doing and make educated decisions. Like, lean on guys like Andrew, who are brokers, who are experts in the market, who can help you with those transactions, and not try to do too much by yourself. I mean, one big piece of real estate is really leaning on people and building that network, and trusting people, I think, is really important. And I learned through being a broker for 2.5 years that making money quick and easy in real estate doesn't happen. It's not going to happen for 99.99% of the people. Someone might get lucky somehow, like a house gets, I don't know how that happens. It didn't happen to me, and it doesn't happen to most people. So I think you guys got to be careful about that. And to make money in real estate, especially in brokerage. I did it for 2 years. I sold a bunch of buildings in South Shore and Auburn Gresham and the West Side and Hermosa and Northwest and Avondale and all over all the neighborhoods of Chicago. But I was grinding. I was calling building owners. I was meeting building owners. I was setting meetings. I was making sure that people knew I was a reliable resource in the market. So I think real estate's a great career, but it's not going to be a get rich quick. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but I'm just trying to set the facts here, guys.
Yeah, that's the reality of it, Ray. And I appreciate you guys saying that, because I think a lot of people want to get into this thing. They're going to make $1 million or make millions right away, and it's a hustle. It's a grind. Learning.
Hey, it's fun though. It's fun.
It's definitely fun.
I love it. I love the real estate sector. I love my career, and I love my colleagues, and everyone has a good attitude. But it's not a get rich quick. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And then every day is new. So even if if a deal fall apart, today, then the next tomorrow would be something new. You might catch something bigger, you know. So every day is new, and that's the exciting part of real estate, is that you can do bad one day, but you can do extremely well the next day, and it can offset that bad day. So, you know, that's the beauty of real estate.
Right.
Yep.
I agree.
I had a question as far as property management go. How y'all doing? This Eric Smith. So say for instance, I get a property and I want to like hire my uncle or something that knows how to do everything in a building. How would I go about is like, going as far as taking care of everything on a good property management side?
Well, if it's your uncle, I mean, you can just basically be able to give him a couple dollars or whatever agreement you guys come to,
Okay.
in order for him to take care of the property.
Okay.
Basically that I think, I don't know if that was Andrew or Ray that touched on that. That basically goes back to the whole thing of, if you're the person investing in the property and you're the owner, obviously as the landlord, you have the ability to kind of do what you need to do with regard to your own property. No matter who takes care of your property, whether you do, bid it out and get a contract with a third party management group, or you're doing it yourself, my best advice would always be to make yourself familiar with all the tenants ordinances and laws of whatever municipality or city that you're operating in. Here in Chicago, we have the RLTO, Resident Landlord Tenant Ordinance, and that deals with all of our mandates about what the heat and everything that needs to be supplied to the unit, everything the landlord's supposed to be responsible for with regard to your tenants.
Gotcha.
And so it is very important, whether it is you or whether you're contracting that out to a third party group, that you're in compliance with all those laws, because that's, as far as with regard to managing your property, that's where you can really lose money. Illinois is a very tenant friendly, and Chicago is very tenant friendly, so to speak. And again, I say that not as a, you hear some landlords and people like that, coming from a biased perspective. I'm not at all, because at the end of the day, I'm still a renter for the time being. So, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter where you come down on that issue. It's not negative or positive. I'm just saying, the background. And so it's just very important that you, as a landlord, or if you're going to be being a third party manager yourself, that you do your due diligence. You know the laws, what you're responsible for, what your agreements, what your lease agreement says with your tenants, and you make sure you're living up to your end of the bargain. Your ability in this business, as far as building relationships with your residents, is going to dictate a lot of that success. Because if you have somebody, for instance, that rents an apartment from you for 2 years, and then they come to you and say, Eric, I'm getting ready to move. I'm getting ready to buy a house. I'm just getting ready to close. You want that person to be able to turn around and say, hey, I know this friend of mine, and he or she can come in and apply for the apartment and take over. That way you don't miss out any revenue. You don't have to have any time for the unit to sit vacant, because you've built up that type of reputation as a landlord and as a property manager, that you're reliable. You have a nice, clean, safe place to live. You live up to the law. Again, to piggyback off of, I think it was Ray that was talking about, you're not going to make money quickly. Hey, there's going to be times where situations happen with your roof, with, boilers and huge expenses that can really hurt you. So it's just very important that you're honest, you're above board in the business. You build a good reputation for yourself for being reliable and being up to your word. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to carry you through. So I know I kind of rambled a little bit on that one, but to piggyback to the first part of your question, if you in fact are the owner of the property, if you want to come to some agreement with your uncle, that's pretty much up to you.
Okay. Got you. Thank you for that.
No
Eric,
problem.
Eric, I just want to I'll just piggyback on this too. I have a rental property down in Pilsen, and I was doing all the work myself of hiring, maintenance, taking care of it, finding renters. It sucks. It's a lot of work.
That's why people go third party.
On top of what I'm doing on the side. You get what I'm saying? This is my side thing. And so I'm about to actually buy my first flip, or probably hold my other hold. So I'm going to tell you, I went with bundle management, and it handle my leasing. I need to place the furnaces for the winter. Like it for me, it was better to have that management company do the work instead of me. It was one less headache. But there's also those contracts involved too, where they gave me a contract. I had to see what they were going to be liable for and held for, and they get a small percentage of those rents that come in, but it's still a good ROI. So I'm not saying your uncle can't handle it, but just be conscious of that. Whatever you do, you're going into a contractual agreement with people when they're handling your place like that. So, but I Brian, I love what you guys do because it makes it makes our jobs easier as investors, man.
It's more than it's more than a notion. It's most I know some people who managed or who bought 2 flats and stuff like that, and they got into it, and it was like, hey, can I call you every once again for advice? And pretty soon that turned into 2 and 3 hour phone conversations about advice that they needed on how
Better
to
be getting paid for that now.
Hey, they're lucky I was a good friend. But that's it's a lot that goes into it. And even me now working at a kind of a large firm, we have a ton of resources. We have a ton of stuff that we lean on as far as taking care of the buildings and people that we lean on, vendor relationships, stuff like that. So even now in my current capacity, I don't feel the full brunt of it the way I would doing it as a small business owner, as a landlord myself. Right. But running even the smallest of properties, it can be a huge headache.
Got you. Thank you, you guys.
I think
home. I just wanted to say goodbye to y'all, you guys.
Yeah.
And
thank you
so much. Appreciate Brian and Ray. I'll be in touch with you guys. Jay, good to see you. Kevin, I'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess we're over time here. So does anyone have any final questions for anyone on the panel? Or obviously you guys can reach out to any of us. You have all of our contact info.
Please do.
Connect with us on LinkedIn or send us a text or an email, or however you want to reach out to us is good. So thanks everyone for joining, especially Brian and Andrew for joining the panel, and Kevin and Marcus did a great job of organizing everything. So thanks also to all the alums. Thanks to you guys for joining. I think we had a good productive convo. Kevin, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you the last couple things that are on the slideshow. We ended up kind of going away from it. But on the slide deck that I sent out, there's a couple if you look on the last couple slides, I put together a small resource list. So Ray sent along the last 2 links are more if you're looking to get into the development and investment side. And then a couple of the early links are more about if you're just looking at getting your broker's license, or even if you're just looking into buying your first property, some things that might be a good place to start. And then the last piece was just kind of macro zoom out, reminding you guys the best practices for networking. You guys now, it might not feel like it. It's weird because it's on Zoom, but Ray and Brian are now in your network. They've met you, you've asked questions, you've heard what they do. You can add them on LinkedIn, and if this is a career field that you're halfway interested in, you can follow up with them, see if there's openings at their company, things like that, or just have a follow-up conversation and ask to learn more about what they're specifically doing. And then the other piece that I wanted to throw out there is just that I want this to be the first of a series of these types of panels, whether that be we keep within real estate and we go on a deeper dive on a specific topic, or if there's another industry that's kind of tangentially related that you guys also want to learn about, and we can kind of use the CJA network and Ray's network and Brian's network and see if we can find some people are experts in the things that you guys care about. So you don't have to have a perfect answer for that, but that's kind of my closing thoughts of hopefully we can think of this as not a one-off panel, but more of first in a series. I appreciate you guys all giving your time on this Wednesday. Yeah, today's Wednesday evening. And if you guys don't have anything else, I think we'll say so long, but thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.